Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. I'm your host, Rob, and today we're going to have a special guest on. This is going to be all about duck and bow this episode. We've been up there 3 times. The Chambers, Chris and Terry invited us our first time, and we had a blast. And it's a great environment to take a group of people. It's a great environment to take a date night, but the food is just fantastic, and this is authentic Chinese food. And I know you think, well, we've been to a lot of Chinese places around Katy. I'm going to tell you, for me, I've not been to a place that serves food like this when it comes to Chinese food. So this is fantastic. But joining us today will be Darren Ren, who is co-owner of Duck and Bow. And we're just going to go through, ask a few questions, kind of figure out, where the concept for the restaurant came from, why they decided to be in Katy, and just get some information, a little bit of background on what they're planning to do in the community, and just have a nice chat with him. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. We'll get Darren on the show, and we look forward to that conversation. Okay, you ready? All right, we're getting ready to welcome our next guest, who is Darren Ren. Darren has been kind enough to join us. He's calling all the way from New Zealand. He is the co-owner of Duck and Bow here in Katy. I think you've probably seen a few posts that we've put online about how much we've enjoyed this restaurant so far. And we just thought it would be great to get in touch with Darren and Alex, his partner, and kind of talk to them about coming to our community and what they're bringing, and kind of all about Duck and Bow and how it works. And so we thought it'd be good to have him on. So, Darren, how are you doing this evening?
Very good. I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's definitely a pleasure, and we're very honored as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, I want to start just with the name Duck and Bow. I've seen a lot of different Chinese restaurants, but that was a unique name to me. Is there some significance or some meaning to it?
Yeah. Hey, we actually had a little bit of a discussion about the name. Alex, being a bit more traditional, he wanted to call it something like Grand Chinese Restaurant or something like that. I guess me being a little bit younger, I wanted something that was quite catchy, easy to say, and flows off your tongue in a way. You've already been to our restaurants. Hopefully you enjoyed our food as well. As you know, our main two major dishes that we cook. One of them is the Peking duck, and the other one is the xiaolongbao. So xiaolongbao, I've just basically taken the bao out of that as and put it in the name. So essentially, duck and bao means we're good at Peking duck and xiaolongbao, and it kind of flows. It's kind of catchy.
No, absolutely, and I think the name is great. You're exactly right. It rolls very well. But talking about that, those are your 2 signature dishes, the Peking duck, and I'm going to call it, you call it soup bao, but for us in Americans, it's more like a dumpling, right? We call it a dumpling, I guess.
Yeah.
For those listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually had a bit of a internet search. Really, I was thinking, what is it because we call it xiaolongbao, which literally means a little bamboo tray of baozi. So I was thinking, what do you guys call it in English? Was it soup bao or is it soup dumplings? And it seems like the mainly everyone calls it soup dumplings. Mm-hmm. I guess in a way it is a dumpling, but in China we actually call it baozi. So I just wanted to stick to that kind of tradition. I actually thought about changing all the menu items to soup bao, but when I googled soup bao, I didn't really come up with much. So I thought I'd stick with soup dumplings on the menu, but call it bao in the name. But the thing, because if you think about it, if I called it duck and soup dumpling, it's a bit of a mouthful. It's hard to say. So I thought I'd just abbreviate it to bao.
No, and I think it's great just from a consumer standpoint. Yeah, that it makes me kind of ask the question, and what does that mean, and getting kind of educated on that, I thought was pretty cool to understand exactly what that is, and I enjoyed that, Chris.
Oh yeah, I mean I didn't know what a bao was until I researched it, and it's essentially a dumpling. What we know as a dumpling.
Yeah.
So those are your two.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, those are your two signature items. Can you tell us? Let's start with the Peking duck. Can you tell us just a little bit about what makes yours unique and just the preparation and kind of what we can expect when we come to your restaurant, order that, and eat that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a little bit of history on Peking duck. That's been around since ancient times, literally. It actually originated from a place called Nanjing, which is the southern borderline southern part of China. It then was brought over to Beijing during the Mongolian rule, and they evolved since then. So the name Peking duck derived from Beijing, which is our capital city at the moment. It's had a long history. So they used to cook it really interesting. They used to stuff a duck, I think, inside like a sheep's stomach to start with. So that was the most traditional way of cooking it, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So it's come a long way. Now it takes about 2 to 3 to 4 days to prepare the Peking duck, which is how long it takes us to prepare as well. So if you any listeners out there that want to come try Peking duck, definitely book ahead. we we roast them on order. It takes 50 minutes, so 50. So definitely book ahead if you can. So the way we carve the duck is relatively traditional as well. As you can tell, we slice it in a way where the skin stays on the meat, so there's a good, I guess, ratio of meat, bit of fat, and a bit of crispy skin on the outside as well. So it gives you a really good, ratio of bite. So on the Peking duck, we actually have a new menu coming out, by the way, so it's going to have a bit of instructions on how to eat this. I know a lot of... Oh, is that your puppy?
That was my puppy. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Actually, it's really hard to know how to eat this, at face value. Basically, it comes with this type of pancake. Well, a crepe, really. That's really thinly done. We do that all handmade. And we steam that in a bamboo basket. Now, what you would do is you would take that piece of pancake, put it on your hand or on a plate, and you've got to smear some of that Peking duck sauce onto the the crepe, which is all handmade as well with our special recipe. You put the sauce on, you get a few pieces of the duck, you put it on top as well, with some of the veggies that comes with it. So, cucumber slices, the spring onion slices as well. And you kind of wrap it up like a burrito, right? I think you.
Yeah, I called it a Chinese taco.
When you came over,
The taco.
a Chinese taco. That's a good way to put it. So we generally pop that in one bite, right? It's a big mouthful of explosion of flavor. Everything's different. It comes all together. You've got a bit of crunch. You've got the really savory sauce, the sweet sauce, and you got that juicy duck fat just oozing in your mouth. I mean, I personally really like it. It's definitely something I could have every week.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I liked it a lot. And what I'm going to say is my wife really liked it, and the reason I mention her is typically we've had duck, and she hasn't liked duck because of that gamey kind of taste to it, and she didn't like that. But your Peking duck, the way you prepared it, I don't know what the process is, but there is no gaminess to it at all, and it was just, really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. As you know, they call duck a game meat, right? Do you do any hunting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, they traditionally would call, duck, deers, and things like that a game meat, so that it, like you said, it has a bit of a gamey taste, and it's the same. A lot of Chinese people don't like the gamey taste as well. So we tend to do a lot of preparation before we roast it to eliminate that kind of gamey taste. Personally, my preference is not to have the gamey taste as well. So I agree with your wife 100%.
Oh,
I'm glad we can eliminate that flavor for you.
I can say it's better than
That taste
anything I've
profile.
ever shot. Add anything like your soup dumplings. What makes yours different? And how the heck do you get the soup in the dumplings?
Yeah, that's if I told you, I have to kill you. No, just kidding. But
Give us a short version.
Soup dumplings. Okay, so soup dumplings. It has a pretty long history as well. Actually, it was there's a bit of a debate on where it came from, but essentially we call it soup dumplings because it's quite unique, right? A lot of the dumplings you have, it's just a filling with the skin on the outside. Soup dumplings specializes in, I guess, before it's cooked, it's actually just a solid filling. We actually cool down a lot of the, I think you call it gelatin that comes out of, boiling a lot of broth. So it's basically very condensed flavors in the soup. And so we wrap it all up in a very thin layer of skin. And once you steam it, it all melts inside that little pocket, the little soup dumpling. So, by the way, be careful. I've definitely burned myself numerous times eating it. Make sure that you put it on your spoon and you poke a little hole or something, let the soup drizzle out, and then drink the soup first, and then pop the soup dumpling, the whole thing in your mouth. Oh, excuse me. Basically, if the soup dumpling was cool enough, you can just eat the whole thing by itself, right? You wouldn't burn yourself, and you get an explosion of flavor, which is what I really like. So both the Peking duck and soup dumpling, to try to keep it as traditional as possible. The way we slice the duck, even, as you can tell, it kind of looks like layers of leaf. So that actually is all about the skill of the carving chef. What they would traditionally say is that 50% of the duck is preparation, and 50% of the Peking duck is through slicing. So it takes a lot of skill to do that. I think you've got some footage of us carving the duck, and you can tell that the knife is actually really interesting. It's a long rectangle-shaped knife, and it's super thin and super sharp.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You have to really know what you're doing. There's no going back, right? If you cut it wrong way, you can't go back and do it again because the skin is just really crispy.
Well, I will tell you that the knife definitely caught my eye when we were shooting that the other day, Chris. I made a comment, I think, to you about his knife and the way it looks. So that's actually specifically, I don't know that it's made for that, but it's a Chinese-type knife that chefs that are trained in the Chinese culinary arts, that's what they use?
Yeah, definitely. So we actually have a lot of, I guess, rules about the knife you need to use for Peking duck. They need to be flat, very thin, and very sharp. So kind of like a Peking duck machete, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was exactly like that. And I will be honest, the first time I had your soup dumpling, I burned myself. I didn't know how to eat it, but it was amazing.
Oh man, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you got to be careful. Those are like little atom bombs.
They are, and I'll be honest. Alex
bombs.
taught us the right way to eat them. And when we went back last night, my family and I. And the first couple that just come out, I ate them the way you initially suggested, Darren. I made that little hole. I got that that broth out, and then I finished off the dumpling. But as they sat there, for about 5-10 minutes. Then I was comfortable putting that whole thing in my mouth and getting that explosion. So I probably, I like eating them both ways. I won't lie.
Well, the first three times I went, I failed miserably, but I loved every bit of it.
The first 3 times, wow.
3 times.
I'm glad to have you as a regular, Chris. It's amazing. Thank you. I think soup bowl is kind of like a big surprise and a little hit. So people don't really expect that kind of to be in a dumpling, or at least not that much. I think we're able to put so much soup in it compared to some of the other ones I've tried. A little bit of soup or the skin is too thick, for example. I think we've got it right.
I'm amazed at how you got the broth to congeal like that, to get it to just come back to life. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a little bit of magic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, Darren, with all this going on, how did you pick Katy? Because don't get me wrong, I love the fact that you picked us, but how did you decide on Katy as your restaurant?
Yeah, great question, actually. So Alex, my business partner, he's been based in Houston for more than 10 years. So he has had restaurants all over Houston and around Houston. And he actually picked Katy. It wasn't my decision. But once he, did that, we had a chat about it. We had a look at the opportunity that was there and the community that was there. It's actually a really, really good idea. Just from what I know and what Alex know, there weren't any other Peking duck places in Katy. And there are some soup dumpling restaurants there as well. We just felt like we could bring it up a notch, and especially with something as unique as Peking duck in Katy, I think we're the first, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm going to tell you,
we
Darren.
just wanted to bring that.
Yeah, I didn't know about Peking duck anywhere in Katy until we saw it from you all. So
and I didn't know about soup dumplings either in Katy.
Yeah,
if there is, I haven't found it yet.
So thank you for bringing it here. We appreciate
great.
Alex making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you for being adventurous and trying new food. To be honest, I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to try new types of food, even for myself, right? It's not something especially if it's not that accessible. So we wanted to bring these types of really traditional food to Katy or to Houston because we know we can do it really well. I feel that for you to be able to try Peking duck, there are great places in Houston or Chinatown, but it's really far. So we wanted to bring that over to Katy. And the excuse me, the overwhelming response from Katy has been really humbling as well. I think the Katy community is really unique. How everyone is so supportive. I mean, I've got to do a couple of shout outs here for Suzanne Nguyen, and there's Christopher Cullen as well. I mean, they're kind of like our spokesperson every single time someone made a post about duck and bao. They were like, I second duck and bao, I third duck and bao. I feel like I should be paying them for being a spokesperson. So, and also the Katy Foodies group as well. I feel that's actually really unique to your community. It's not like anything I've ever seen before. It's close to 40,000 people in that group now. And that's purely for people that are foodies. Like I've never ever seen that before in any other, cities or even suburbs. No one in a suburb would join one group and be so supportive like you guys have been.
The funny thing
like
about
yourself, Chris, you've been.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, sorry.
The funny thing
I was
about
just going to say, like yourself, you came and you tried our food and you thought it was amazing, and you've brought your friends. You've invited me on a podcast. I think that's amazing. That's humbling.
Well, the funny thing about the Katy Fort Bend Foodies is that's how I found you, is watching that. But it's cool that it's
right.
There's so many people, but it's almost like it's a small town group, which is so personal, which makes it fun.
Yeah, definitely, and everyone's so positive as well. I've been in some groups where if something didn't go right, people would I guess be a bit negative about it, and I completely understand why. No one should be going to a restaurant and stay hungry or be unhappy about the food, especially if you have to wait. In the beginning, when we first opened, I literally just made one post in the Katy group, and it kind of blew up. I didn't do any advertising, didn't do any sponsored posts or anything like that. And we had so many people coming. I think we were a little underprepared. It was our soft launch back in August, and I really want to apologize to anyone who had to wait for a long time, or we got some food wrong, or we weren't happy with our service, because that's definitely not who we are normally. And I like to think we've improved tremendously just through that time. Now that even if you had to wait, I think we're going to be doing a much better job. So please come back and and try us out again. So
I think you'll find, Darren, that the Katy Fort Bend Foodies, I think they're kind of known for that. That we understand that when restaurants, we appreciate all the new restaurants that are coming to our community, and we know that you kind of got to get your feet underneath you a little bit when you first open. There's going to be a few little bumps in the road. We totally understand that, and I think all the people that are in the group always will give you a second and third chance as you kind of continue to kind of get your way. And I can say I wasn't there during your soft opening the first few nights you were open. I didn't get there until more recently, but I can say now all of your service has been fantastic. So gracious and welcoming when we come in. You get seated fairly quickly, and the food has just been, for me, it's been spot on. It's just been outstanding.
Speaking from somebody who spent
Thanks,
20
Rob.
years in the restaurant business, I completely understand opening a new restaurant, and I did it with a giant corporation, so I couldn't even imagine doing it with a essentially family-owned restaurant. And y'all have done an amazing job. And one of the cool things about Katy Fort Bend is you're not allowed to post anything negative. You can't bash anybody.
Well, you can.
You can, but you've got to keep it, and nobody did. They talked about, their opportunities from you're brand new. You've got to figure it out. But that's what's cool is everybody was so receptive to it, and they all understood, and the feedback seemed to be extremely positive.
Thanks, Chris. Yep, really do appreciate that. Really do.
But that kind of
It's
leads
tough,
into, Darren,
when
that leads into the next part
Yeah.
I had for you. Alex was talking to me about you guys are planning, it sounded like a big relaunch. You guys are going to kind of have a new grand opening, and you have some special things going on. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, mate. It's probably more like a grand opening, really. We feel like for the past couple of months, it's all been a really strong and I guess tough learning process for us, because this is we want to get it right with the community. We want to get it right with our diners. So we've actually made a little bit of change to our menu as well, just to cater it towards. We've eliminated some dishes that just weren't ordered at all. We wanted to condense it more to the essence of what we're trying to offer. I think, so it's more of a grand opening, I guess.
Okay.
Or slash relaunch. Yep. If there's going to be, I think that's going to be in November when I'm back in Houston. We're going to be doing quite a bit of special offers. Probably set up something like a VIP nature program for our loyal supporters, and I think it's going to give a lot of benefits. And during the grand opening stage, I think we're gonna take your advice and do a whole weekend of grand opening, so people don't miss out. Right? We're going to be having a lot of not a lot of dances, but we're going to have traditional dancing along during that period of time. I'm not going to spoil too much of the fun for you.
No, don't tell them. Don't tell them what it is.
Yeah. So it's actually a really traditional type of Chinese dancing. You can see them up front and personal. It's kind of like a magic show and a dance show all in one. I think you guys will really like it.
Yeah.
Well, if you call that tough learning as a soft opening, y'all are, pardon my language, y'all are kicking ass.
Thank you. It has been tough. It is tough to do, I guess, for anyone to go out and do a business. We put our heart and soul into it, into the restaurant. We just want everyone to have in the Kiwi way, so we just want you to have a good feed.
Well, you make it look easy.
Some good grub.
You make it look easy.
I'll tell you what, the grub has been freaking fantastic. So, I just can't get enough of it. So one thing I do want to say, Darren, I know I've went a few times and I've had to ask for help on kind of understanding what some dishes were, and that's totally understandable. But what I thought was cool was Alex explained to me that you guys are, and tell me, you're working on getting some pictures of what these dishes are on the menu. So when you kind of have a visual to kind of help you see what this is going to look like. I think that's going to help a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So we're going to have a new menu very shortly. So that should be done actually in the next couple of weeks. This menu will have, I would say, more than half of all the dishes that we offer with pictures on it. It will tell you which ones are the recommended dishes, and it'll in the front it'll teach you how to eat the Peking duck. It'll teach you how to eat soup dumplings as well, just so we can avoid burning ourselves like we have. And it's gonna give you a bit more, I guess, make your decision a little bit easier when you come and dine with us. So you can see as soon as you open the menu, you'll see what is the best, which ones are the best that we recommend. Obviously, everything's good, says I.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't been disappointed so far.
So, Darren, let me ask you a question.
What have you had?
Oh,
okay. Yeah, go on.
What have we had? We've had pretty much all the dumplings.
So we've had your the Peking duck 3 times in the last week and a half. That should tell 5. You something, right?
Wow.
Obviously, the soup dumplings. I was lucky enough on last night to have the sea urchin and the shrimp dumpling, which was fantastic. The garlic eggplant blows me away. I can't get enough of that. The Dan Dan noodles are fantastic. The crispy beef bao, I love. What else, Chris?
What else have we had? Oh, we had the house special fried rice with all the meats in it and the giant shrimp.
Yeah, that special cabbage that you make, that fried cabbage.
The fried cabbage. We've had the pan-fried cabbage. We've had the egg rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
working our way through the menu
as much as we could. Yeah, we were getting after it, Darren.
Yeah, to be honest, that type of way that we cook the cabbage, it's a traditional cuisine in China, and seriously, for me, that's the best way to eat cabbage ever. Like, you wouldn't. Maybe the other way is in a soup, so you get that sweet taste out of it. But apart from that, in any stir fry, I feel like that type of cabbage is the best because we cook it with a little bit of pork fat, bit of lard.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Everything's better with pork fat.
The fattier it is, the better it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me tell you what I'm excited about, Darren. Last night when I was in there, Alex, and I'm fired up for this. He said, "Here's the deal, Rob. Next time you come in, you get to sit down and get ready to eat dinner, but you don't get to order a thing. I'm bringing out food for you that are going to be different things that you haven't tried and authentic things." So Chris and I are fired up to kind of be blown away with some stuff we wouldn't even think to order that he's going to let us experience. So I'm real fired up for that.
Wow, that's that sounds really exciting. I wish someone would do that for me. If I went to.
When you get here in November, we're going to bring you over to the house, and then you just sit back and have a cocktail, and we'll cook up some stuff for you.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
You like steak?
Amazing. I love steak.
All right.
I love steak.
It's on.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question.
We normally eat
So one of the cool things about your restaurant versus a lot of the other Chinese restaurants I've been to in Katy or even in Houston, yours seems so more traditional. Why is that important? What
authentic?
Yeah, authentic, traditional. What makes it that way?
That's a very interesting question. Over the years, right? When I say over the years, I mean just throughout history, ever since there's been immigration anywhere in the world, food has become more and more fusion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with fusion food. I absolutely love some fusion cuisine. I feel that we sometimes need to go back to basics or stick with our tradition. Some of these dishes, for example, the Peking duck, the soup dumplings, have passed down from our ancestors for a reason because they're simply delicious, right? Just the way they are. And we just wanted to make them as top-notch as possible. I guess you could say we're bringing the tradition and contemporary cuisine into one. So we do have selection there that's a little bit more modern. We try to keep, especially our signature dishes, as traditional as possible. You don't have to travel back in time or go to China to try these dishes anymore because, it's just at your footsteps, right? And that's really what we're trying to do. I guess just the short version, why do we keep it traditional, is simply we simply want to bring the tradition to you, as opposed to you having to come to us or go to China or too far away.
And the other thing that I noticed that was, I will say it was important to me walking into a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, was seeing that, the wait staff was all, Chinese. The dumpling station with the chefs cooking there were Chinese. Yeah. The Peking duck chef, I saw him. He was Chinese. I mean, when I'm going to get what I think is going to be authentic Chinese food, to see all of this being done by that culture, that makes me think right away, they've got credibility. This is going to be some really good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. I tend to agree with you. I mean, I really enjoy, Indian curry, for example. I really like Mexican food. Yeah, I tend to like food better when it's cooked by said culture, right? Yeah, because you know what they're doing. Like, if you go into a Vietnamese restaurant and there's a Vietnamese auntie in the back, cooking the broth for the pho, you know it's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's home
Absolutely.
cooked food. Is that because yeah, I mean, um, I feel like when you go into a restaurant and, for example, duck and bao, really, I'm just talking about duck and bao, but if you come to our restaurant and all of our waitresses are not Chinese, yeah, it does tend to fade away a little bit from the Chinese cuisine aspect. So we want to keep that tradition. I mean, we want the front of house to be able to speak really good English, but we also want the Chinese people who come to our restaurant to feel like home, to feel that, oh man, this is just what I remember when I was back home. So to be able to give that feel, to be able to give that kind of taste, all the atmosphere, the presentation, the way we carve the duck, for example, it needs to reflect back home. And then we want to bring that to the local community as well. So there's, I guess, a two-way of looking at it. One is that people feel like home, but one is they try the tradition, if that makes sense.
Well, the cool thing is talking to Alex, one of the things he said is important is having your wait staff be ABC, American born Chinese,
Mm,
to where they
yeah,
know the heritage, but they also speak
yeah,
English. And then you've got a gym up at the front door just helping
mm,
people
yeah.
assimilate to that culture. I mean, you've got you got a great recipe there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I tell you, when we first started, we were doing brainstorming and meetings until 1 or 3 in the morning every day. Um, I remember when I was in Houston, just during that the soft launch period, it would get so busy I wouldn't get to eat until 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. I actually lost a bit of weight there. I can't wait. I can't wait to do that again.
I'm going to tell you what else made me think that you had a lot of credibility and you guys were doing something right is last night we were in there on a Saturday night, very, very busy, Darren, and pretty packed
Yeah.
house. I'm going to tell you that my table with my family and maybe two other tables were Anglo. The rest were, Chinese people within our community that were eating at your restaurant. So to me, that spoke
Yeah.
volumes because they know what it should taste like. They know what it should be like. And they obviously know they're getting that with you. So I thought that spoke highly of you guys and that you guys are doing a really good job.
Mhm. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. I feel like if we were naturally, I guess, catered towards the taste back home, a lot of a lot of the local Chinese people will come, and in turn, that would actually attract a lot more Europeans as well, because that the taste is authentic, or at least action speaks louder than words. So we can say we're traditional all we want to, but if there are no Chinese diners, and because they don't feel like this tastes anything like a Chinese cuisine, then we would have failed. I feel like or we wouldn't have catered to I guess, we'd have presented the taste of home. I
Sure.
think that's what we really want to do. Mm.
Absolutely. Um, I do want to go back to your menu for one moment, just because I was so intrigued and interested and excited to try this, and I don't think I'm letting anything out of the bag before I should. But we talked about your grand opening that's coming up in November. We talked about your kind of redoing the menu. There's one item on there that just kind of blew me away, and I'm really excited to try it when it comes out. And I'll let you explain to everybody what it is. I'm just going to say the name, the truffle dumpling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The truffle soup dumpling is definitely one of my favorite things. I just love truffle and mushrooms. I love that earthy taste in general. So it's something that we've combined together to give you a really good, I guess, a mixture between the earthy taste and the soupiness, if that's a word.
It
the
isn't
pork.
Katy.
So it combines really. What's that? Sorry.
It isn't Katy.
Yeah. It combines really well, right? And we use fresh black truffles as well, and there are general portions in there. Have you tried it yet?
No.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's on your next list then, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has really good flavor combined together, and it's a huge soup dumpling. It's kind of like probably around the size of your fist, or it depends on the size of your hand, really. But it's quite big, so it's pretty much like 4 to 6 of those small ones combined into one. There's so much soup in there. You can't actually lift it up with chopsticks or tongs, right? You kind of need a straw. So I think Alex showed you how to have it. If not, there will be instructions in the new menu as well. So you kind of stuff that you have to poke the straw through the top, and you drink the soup through a straw. Again, be careful because it's going to be hot. It's going to be pretty high temperature. So make sure it cools down a little bit, and you drink the soup, and then you can just munch the rest. It's I personally really like that one.
I'll be honest with you. We were told it's not available yet, so if it is, I'm a little upset.
Yeah, I don't think it is because I think Alex would have definitely had us try that if it were available.
I would hope.
Maybe that's on your mystery menu next time.
That might be. That might be.
So, Darren, while we've got you, why don't you talk a little about, we know you're open for lunch and dinner every day. Do you have any lunch specials, or are you working on them?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah, we've been having really good business during weekends and after hours. Of course, people tend to go to work outside of Katy, I think. So we are actually open during lunchtime during the weekdays as well. We're going to be doing something that's a lot quicker in terms of turnarounds for people that still have to go back to work. Our lunch menu is going to be served with rice, or all sorts of different interesting things. And I'm going to be posting that on our Facebook and Instagram. If you haven't followed us yet, it's Duck and Bao Katy for Instagram. And if you just search Duck and Bao on Google, it'll come up anyway with all the plugs for Facebook and Instagram and Yelp.
Perfect. You also talked to me when we chatted before about doing some type of loyalty program, where you have these regular customers and Katy Fort Bend foodies or just people who frequent the restaurant. You wanted to do something kind of to give back to them. Have you figured that out? Are you still working on that, or what can you tell us about that?
I'm still definitely working on it. I want to give back to the community as you guys have helped us. So we definitely want to do some kind of perks for Katy Fort Bend group exclusively. We do want to do something of a loyalty program for other people as well. There's another group that we use. I don't know, should I say the name?
Absolutely.
The other group that has also helped us out is called Asian Eats. So Tom's from there has been helping me as well. I like to invite people to come and try our food, give us constructive feedback, especially during the soft opening. And, we have received a lot of feedback during that time and throughout, really. So it's helped us improve a lot, and I want to give back to the community. It's going to have things like, for example, birthday specials. If it's your birthday, you come in, we give you blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to say too much. We're still working on what is the best kind of perk to give. And obviously there will be discounts and giveaways and things like that. Kind of like VIPs, really.
Well, there's also things like that.
So Darren,
definitely.
We'll get ready to wrap it up and let you get back to your day over there in New Zealand. But is there anything else that we need to cover before we say goodbye to the folks that are listening?
No, I guess look forward to the video you're going to release on how to eat Peking duck and soup dumplings. Keep a lookout for specials and discounts and promotions on our Facebook and Instagram. That's going to be our main channel or avenue to release these kind of things. So hopefully you guys can make sure you click like and share and things like that if you see something that grabs your attention. Again, thank you very much for having me on the show, and thank you for everyone who's listening for your time. We'll try and improve and be better every day.
Well, that's the last thing I wanted to
support.
talk about, Darren. You kind of mentioned it. We did have the pleasure, and thank you to Alex for letting us come up and spend a few hours in the restaurant over a couple of days to shoot some footage and put together a really cool video of making the soup dumplings, of the Peking duck being sliced and cut tableside, being shown the proper way to eat both of those dishes. It's a really cool video we're going to put out. It'll be published in the next week. It'll be on Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard, the YouTube channel. So we encourage you all to go out, check it out. I think you'll really enjoy the video. We did an outstanding interview with Alex as well, Chris. He was entertaining, gave us a lot of information, and just a pleasure to visit with. So we're looking forward to getting that out.
This happens for it, so.
Yeah. Well, we're very, very honored and very humbled. Thank you very, very much.
Well, Darren, thanks for joining us tonight. We look forward to meeting you in person when you get in town in November. We will continue to push Duck and Bow and continue to go ourselves and enjoy the great food and what you guys are doing for our community.
Thanks so much. I'll be sure to bring over some single malt for you.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, Darren.
Take care.
All right, cheers.
That wraps up our episode with Darren. We appreciate him coming on. Hey, we're fired up for Duck and Bow. We really think you all need to get out there and check them out. You'll really enjoy the food. It is an experience getting to explore some new flavors, some new things at Duck and Bow. And for all those foodies who like those types of restaurants coming to our neighborhood, this is definitely one you need to go hit up. They're located at 510 South Mason Road, so just south of I-10. As you're coming south, it's on your right-hand side at the corner of Marymount in that strip center. So you need to look for it. It's right there by Rosita's Pizza and 510 Bar, right split in the middle. So go check them out. You're really going to enjoy the dinners there. We want to thank you for listening to Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. We're going to have another episode out next week. We hope you'll continue to join us for these as we review different restaurants and just different things going on in our community. And until then, enjoy your next pour.